Do you live in Leith or do you just come here for work?
Yeah, I work here. I kind of grew up here. I only just got back after being away for 5 years, so I'm kind of rediscovering it myself.
Oh, okay. Well, what would you want from Leith, I guess, or what's missing, or do you love how it is?
I think like literally 20 years ago, or even less than that, you'd be embarrassed to say you live here. You really would. But now it's gone kind of fancy with places like this and the place across the road. This is 11 years old. I remember at the time it opened, it was like the new thing around. And then Mimi's opened. The granary's always been there and there have always been restaurants, but yeah, then they put up this Michelin star restaurant and that started this kind of snowball of slightly nicer things. But I think it was the subversiveness of having Michelin star restaurants in a port area that's a bit gross. Coburg Street used to be where all the hookers were. I think it's like now the juxtaposition of shabbiness and the nicer stuff.
Okay. Well, so they are trying to put something new into the area.
Yeah, they are. Well, yeah, I mean the people are very protective of things to do with their tradition. I think now when you say I live in Leith, that could either mean I live in one of those housing projects or I have a very expensive house. So I think nothing too modern, but like you can kind of get away with anything in this area at the moment. I don't think it'll be like that in 10 years' time.
But so whatever does come has to fit with what's already here, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're all quite new and I don't know how they've managed to adapt to the surroundings because, you know, when they build these new ugly buildings in the 60s, they stick out like sore thumbs, especially now, having come back from Australia. Australia is the ugliest place I've ever seen, especially in terms of buildings. Nothing's been planned other than what's right in front of them, and now it's all going to be like high rises. It's more competitive to get a place in the city, so they're trying to gentrify the whole city. It's a mix of really old, shabby buildings left untouched and newer things, but when the new buildings first came up, they looked out of place. Now they've gone a bit shabbier, they look nicer.
So, like anything that's really modern would stand out to you?
Yeah, I don't think anything too modern would suit it. Anything with like glass all over.
So, something in the middle?
Yeah. I think that's like there are quite a lot of new buildings and have like these wooden accents or like emphasis on wood.
Terraces might look nice, but then again, anything that looks dated would sit better than something that looks like it's from the space age. When Ocean Terminal first opened, it was just nice, everyone was talking about it, but obviously there's a lot of development going on. They just have to look a little bit aged. Like this place, it looks shabby, but it's very well maintained.
Well, so you say how there have been these developments coming in. Is it more a place people live, or is it they come to work? Or...
All the young people and students used to live on the south side. This became like the more affordable area because that wasn't near to the uni. People wouldn't really send their children to Edinburgh Uni and stay in public halls, so that whole area became a bit expensive for your average younger person, not at uni, so they came here and this place became cool. So it's going to be like fully gentrified by 5 or 10 years and prices will go up.
Okay.
I got here just in time.
Houses, I think, in general don't work in Scotland. When I first moved to Australia, I couldn't believe I was living in a house. Like, these little stairway type buildings, they survive 60 or 80 years or something. So as long as they're built properly, no one really minds. I've always thought with new builds, the problem is you can hear people 2 doors down, and I don't think people like that here.
As long as they're built with some kind of substance.
So it's quite a quiet place then?
It's not like the centre. I mean, there are bars and people come here to eat. Bars stay up until about 1, and you do get your drinkers and stuff, but it's actually alright. There's not too much like cockiness and attitude. Humbleness is kind of a big thing in Scotland. I noticed that like people from other places stick out like sore thumb because there's a very jovial kind of attitude here which doesn't work when it's out of that setting. But here it is actually like a very, when you consider like what it was back then, now it's not dangerous. Like the only crime is with junkies and they leave you alone. It's very down to earth. Like Scotland has always been the place I've described as if like dad has a Mercedes, he parks it around the corner so that the other kids don't see, because the worst thing you can display yourself as is to think you're better than them. It's more embarrassing to be seen as boasting your grandeur than keeping it to yourself. Like this place looks quite fancy, like the kind of place women would come to drink tea, etc. But you actually get your like blokes and drinkers too. Like people are used to that attention to detail as long as it's not too showy. It wouldn't go down too well if you told people like how much you spent on this new apartment. Leith used to be a place you mutter under your breath. Like now it is this enigma. If you say you live in Leith, you're not giving anything away. You could be a junkie or a millionaire.
Oh, okay, but that's a good thing, isn't it? Like it's not as judgmental as it used to be.
Yeah, and that's something very different in Australia. Everyone's trying to give reasons why they're better than you. I didn't know I was so inherently Scottish. I was born in Bath. My parents have moved all over the place, but I think I identify more after I left just how friendly, down to earth and like non-flashy they are here. In Leith, I think that's more what you're looking for.
Okay, perfect.